Here we go. Back on the microphone, where I belong. Can you guys believe I convinced the Corporate Legal Ops Consortium to just strap a mic to me?
Go for it.
And let me talk to everyone. Thank you to our live studio audience for coming and making this real. I'd like to welcome Katrina and Anna from our CLOC Australia chapter onto the podcast. Hi, ladies.
Hey, Jen.
How's it going?
Really good.
Yeah, let's give this Australia Legal Ops chapter a round of applause. They're down under. I'm not going to attempt to do any accents. I'm terrible at accents, so we'll leave it at that. But there is a point during this week where I'll be eating Australian food on a podcast myself. Vegemite.
Tonight. I'll be there.
Yeah, you'll be
We'll
there.
take some photos.
Amazing.
Tim Tams?
Yes. Tell us, give us a picture of what's going on in legal ops down under in Australia. I know Australia has been on the KM innovation and tech front for years. Where are you guys on the spectrum of transforming legal departments?
So I think CLOC Australia and CLOC APAC is, it's small but mighty.
Small but mighty.
We have a really vibrant community. Our ecosystem has about 300 plus members. We have about 120 in-house members and 50 really active members.
Oh, yes.
We meet quarterly. We have really vibrant conversations across, all of the legal ops topics, and really similar to what we're seeing here at CGI, but just on that really small scale for our community.
So I would add, just because we are a small community, it's very much about the people and the relationships. And it talked about that very committed core group that we've got that we can call up, get them to put their hands up, lead one of our quarterlies. So there's lots of opportunities for our members to really get involved. And I think that really drives very committed membership of our members in Australia.
50 hyper, super active people out of
Yep.
120, that's huge.
Yeah, it's good.
That's really great engagement. What's the state of the state inside your corporate legal departments? Are you as obsessed with CLM as all of us? We are obsessed. We need therapy. I need a CLM therapy booth. Here's all our CLM sponsors. Never mind. Are you as obsessed as us?
So I think
in the States?
I think in Australia there's probably a handful of tend to be global corporates
Yeah.
that have landed CLM.
Yeah.
Some of them are here.
Amazing.
But I think on balance, there's a lot of us that are still doing things like matter management, knowledge management,
Okay.
thinking about, a lot of the other CLOC competencies rather
Amazing.
than jumping to CLM. I think it's maybe it's the way that the legal teams sort of take on their roles,
Yeah.
but I would, make a generalization and say a lot of the legal leaders say CLM's not a legal issue, and they'll sort of stand back a bit.
Well, they have a
views,
point.
yeah.
They have a point there. I am going to pause us for one moment, and we are going to do a mic switch right before your very eyes. It's me.
I'm the problem, it's me.
I'm the problem,
It's
it's me.
Time.
Everybody agrees.
I stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always looking for the anti-hero.
Okay, sound check. It works. Thank you. That was your Free Taylor Swift show.
All right.
Show of hands in our podcast live audience. Who has been to the Eras Tour? Who has been enlightened? 1 of 20. What? I have no children by design, okay? Don't get any ideas in your head. And I'm going twice.
Jealous.
And I'm almost a middle-aged
Do you know
woman.
how hard it was to get tickets in Australia?
I do, because I paid 500x premium in California.
Yeah.
Back to CLM
Right.
and Australia. So you're saying Australia is in the earlier foundational stage of legal ops. And you can tell me true, false, but you're saying we're really centered on KM inside legal departments. So your portals, your knowledge management, your expertise.
Intake, matter management.
Intake and matter management. I mean, those are some of those founding principles and cores of CLOC. And that's what I think is CLOC 1.0. It's where all this started. How about financial management? Is that hot?
Yeah, it's very, very hot. I don't think
Yeah.
I'm working now.
We need Anna's mic turned on. 'Cause I'm the problem, it's me. It's on. It's on.
It's close.
Put that thing right up like this.
It's Beyonce, not Biden.
Yeah, you got to hold it Beyonce or hip hop style.
I told that this morning.
Hip hop
Beyonce,
style,
not Biden.
Beyonce style. Financial management in Australia. How are we feeling?
Spend management is a big thing.
Yes.
And I think a number of corporates have been on this journey for a while to manage their outside counsel spend, build dashboards and analytics. On the CLM piece, I think what we've seen in Australia is, whilst we might be behind in terms of sort of the tool adoption, because I think the tools come out in the US first.
Yes.
I think the adoption rates and the transformation happens much faster. Yeah. And Australian legal ops teams are generally much smaller than the legal ops teams in the large corporates in the US.
Give me your range. What's small to you?
1 to 7.
Oh, dreams.
I'm a team of 1.
I could transform that legal department with a cocktail in my hand. God. Not saying that your job is any easier or harder, but that is a dream. So because of that, you get more speed to solution.
I think that's right.
Yes.
And I think that's what we've seen over the last few years. And we tend to go for solutions that can be deployed with that smaller scale of resource.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So CLM a little. Where are we hanging on generative AI across the board? Any of your matter management workflows, etc.
So one of the key reasons I wanted to come to CGI was to really, I guess, get on the Gen AI knowledge kind of uptake.
Yes.
I do think in Australia we're probably about 6 to 9 months behind where people are here in the US. I think some of the tools came out in the US first, and then they've had to sort of get to Australia, get through all of our sort of corporate governance and regulatory frameworks, and so they're only just starting.
They're just touching ground.
They're just touching ground.
Well, let me show you something. Watch this. Is this a U.S. audience? Who's from outside the U.S.? Quick show of hands. All right, 10%. In this audience, rest are presumably U.S., how many have a Gen AI solution live in production in use by your lawyers or your professionals? I got 2, about less than 10%. So
maybe we're not that far behind.
So you're not that far behind. By next year, it will have over 50%, probably 80% of you, because they're going to turn it on in all the features.
And I think, coming to CLOC, connecting with the corporate legal ops, talking about real life case studies, that resonates with our general counsels back in Australia. They're like, I need to know about Gen AI and I need to know what it can do. So we've got to be our role as legal ops is to say, this is what it could work for our team in terms of intake or some contract management or discovery. So it's really getting the gamut of the use cases from the audience here, and then being able to sort of take them back to our teams and our GCs.
Yes. The number one use case for generative AI. I wish we can turn this up over the whole auditorium. Tempting. Don't give me a volume knob. That I am seeing is conversational AI, is using generative AI to search across legal work product. I think that's coming first and foremost inside all of these products. And I think that generating a language, a clause, a piece of precedent, that's coming right behind it. But what are your thoughts on putting in front of your lawyers the robot that does their job and maybe makes them uncomfortable? Ambivalence. That's whenever someone peddles, that means I don't know.
I'm more in the school of thought that their job is safe if they use the Gen AI, if they use the tool. Maybe not every person's job is safe, but the large majority are, because that subject matter expertise, that sort of regulatory insight, corporate knowledge.
Yes.
I think there's I mean, at least in the short term, that human intervention, human in the loop is going to be critical.
Going to be critical.
I have this. I call it like I sort of nudge my lawyers along, and I challenge them. I said, I don't think I'll ever read a contract front to back ever again.
Whoa.
And they're like, and I said, well, you know, if I need to find a clause, it'll help me. If I need a summary, if I need to go to part, but I don't need to, you know, be the lawyer that prints it off 3 a.m. in the morning, proofreads every single clause.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, like sometimes you've just got to put the hours in, you know, when you're in one of those deals, like you've got to, and so, you know, rolling up the sleeves. I'm like, I don't think it has to be like that anymore. And so I think there's a letting go of the way maybe the lawyers that we work with now sort of came up through the ranks and how they learn, and our lawyers of tomorrow will be learning a different way.
They'll learn a different way, the lawyers of tomorrow. And the kids that come up and grew up on G Suite and then this becomes all the norm, they're not going to want to read whole contracts. They're going to want everything simplified, more precedent templatized, you know, all the things we're killing ourselves doing right now. And in-house legal departments, love you, legal, love you. But it is hard changing your forms. Yeah. So you see them bristle a little bit because we're in the crux of the change.
I think so. And I also think if we're doing all this new stuff, what are they going to stop doing? So lawyers have to let go. And that's not something a lot of lawyers are very good at doing. Yeah. It's not what we're trained to do through law school. Like it's the attention to detail, it's being methodical. And so now we're trying to sort of, I think that generative AI will try to teach them to shift gears a bit.
Katrina, you went to law school. Bless your heart.
Yes. And I still am actually a practicing lawyer.
And you're still practicing, and you espouse that openness.
Totally.
You are a rare breed. We need your DNA. Let's clone more like you. Do you have a law degree?
I do.
Oh.
And actually, it is interesting. I think in Australia, a lot of legal ops professionals are reformed lawyers.
Yeah. I think that's fair, and it's fine. There's no right formula. Except get a technologist, you guys. If you heard my talk today, the more tech we have in the team that you all lead or are part of, the faster we get there. But I think you bring great perspective, and you're a translator. You can sit with a lawyer and unlock more quickly than I can. It took me 5 years to figure out how to unlock with a lawyer, one failure at a time. In our last minute or so here, we, the Corporate Legal Ops Consortium, are coming to visit you in Australia. In Sydney in August. I'm so excited. What will we talk about there?
Well, we're really excited.
Yes.
It's our first CLOC Summit in Australia since 2019.
Woo.
So we have a great event planned.
Yes.
Our sort of tagline is reconnecting the ecosystem.
Love it.
And we hope to bring together the full ecosystem from across Australia, New Zealand, and potentially broader in the region with some really dynamic content. Obviously, Gen AI is going to feature heavily in our content suite. We're going to kind of model our program on the sort of the CGI model with core sessions, with solution labs.
Oh, I can't wait. You guys, it's going to be my first time ever in Australia. So I'm going to need like the locals tour.
So we'll have a CGI after dark as well.
Oh, okay. So I will bring all my clothes. How about you, Katrina? What are we feeling for CGI Australia?
I'm very excited. I love the face-to-face element of getting back together. I think our CLOC APAC region, we've got a lot more sort of law firm engagement, so they'll also feature on some of our panels and discussions. And
this is amazing.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm obsessed with law firms right now. I just spoke to 100 of them at Paul Weiss. Yeah. And they have a very rich KM and innovation practice. And like you said, a lot of lawyers who come in and do the tech work. And I think it's a powerful skill set. And we have a lot to learn and collaborate on. We'll do some of that in Australia.
Sounds good. And I think, you know, we're going to have some great panels. The future of legal ops, there's some themes coming out here that we will carry on the discussion in Australia.
Is anyone coming to Australia with me? Yes, I have one hand out of about 60 looking at me with quizzical looks.
Well, you're all invited.
You are all invited to come. We're going to podcast while we're in Australia. if we have our way, Corp Legal Ops Consortium will be vlogging. And for all the FOMO people out there, you'll get to watch at home from your LinkedIn. Anna and Katrina, thank you for coming on CLOC Talk today and giving us some of that down under perspective.
Thanks, Jen. Thank you, everybody.